another up-close video. Today's one is for Jamie Rodgers' new Festive collection of dies, which is called the Christmas Tales collection, and he's got 11 different die sets in here. So obviously if you like to get the full collection of something, he's got a fantastic array, and I'm going to show you every single die set that's in the collection. But there are some beautiful standalone kind of die sets that I think would be like a lovely, perfect little addition to add into your Christmas stash that could then make something else from a previous year, maybe you got some Sue Wilson stuff, and like combine it with it to give it a completely different look as well. And I've also got 7 different samples to show you too. I haven't had a chance to use every single die set, but I've tried to use as many of the die sets as I can to be able to show you a couple of ideas and things. And there is 1 or 2 of them that I absolutely love the way they turned out, so you might end up seeing them as sped up videos at some point when I get a chance to film them. But yeah, really enjoyed working with this collection. There are some real gems hidden within some of these die sets as well, and they're just really, really gorgeous and useful. They'll be perfect addition to anybody's Christmas stash of dies. So the first set, let's go with the enormous set first. This is the only large one. All of the rest are smaller than A5. I've put all of these onto A5 magnetic sheets just to show them to you. This isn't how I'm going to store mine. I'm not that extravagant that I will just give a small die set like this a double-sided A5 sheet. But I wanted to be able to keep them nice and individual, to be able to show you exactly what's in each set. But because I'm on the design team, I just get my dies stuck to a piece of cardboard, which isn't very pretty to look at. So I thought I'd put them onto magnetic sheets to make it easier to show them to you as well. So this is the Poinsettia rings die set, and it is enormous. That largest circle, if I can get an accurate size of it, if I move those out of the way, it's about a 7-inch diameter circle, so it's a really decent sized circle, that large one. Plus you get extra circles within the die set as well. So you've got that really large outside one. You then also have the next size down, which is about 4.5 inches. And then the next one in from that is about 3 inches diameter. And then the next one in from that is about 1 3/4 inches in diameter. So different widths between the different sizes, but you can create some fantastic rings with this, hence the name Poinsettia rings. You can create circular frames for use on your square cards. This one is absolutely perfect for small cards, although the small card that I've done with it, I use this as the focal sort of ring and wreath, like I cut the middle out, and then the outside one I did it sort of hanging off the card and just cut into the card as well, because he's kind of given you these dies with the extra outside cutting edges, like a lot of tonic die sets come with the separate outside cutting edges. You can just cut the detail into your card if you want to as well, and then maybe you could put some double-sided adhesive and put glitter through the openings or something. But look at the beautiful designs that are in here. Even if you do just like to make small cards like I do, there are so many elements just like within these larger ones that you might not use as a complete thing on your card, but you could use it as a quarter coming in. If I get a sized bit of card like I like to use, you know, you could have it as a smaller element coming into the card as well. You don't have to use the whole thing. But there are so many gorgeous like little swirls, snowflakes, the debossed poinsettias in there as well that you could snip out and use, you know, just as standalone elements as well. But so much beautiful detail, and all of these poinsettias have got that debossing in them, which looks fantastic when you put your gilding polish and stuff over the top of them. And they've all got a similar kind of design to them, going down in size. Obviously there's sort of less room on the smaller ones, so the poinsettias are smaller and some of the details are like less flourishy as well. But even that central one looks absolutely gorgeous. And instead of having just flourishes on this, it's almost like twisted twine on there as well, which goes really nicely with a Fairy Lights die set that's coming up as well, because that's got like a twisted twine kind of element to it as well. Then in the centre, you've got that same poinsettia that's in all of the rings, just as a separate detail as well. So you could cut these out and place them over the top to give you larger poinsettias over the top of any of the elements in the rings. You've also got this little set of poinsettias, which actually give you the same size poinsettias as the 3 rings, so you can definitely cut those out and put the same size poinsettia back over the top, or go for the larger one, or just use these poinsettias by themselves, and you know, use them in with some foliage as well. You can just go for that debossed poinsettia with some extra foliage. You've got another debossed poinsettia, which is roughly the same kind of size as the ones in the largest ring, but it's got some swirls attached to it, which works perfectly as a little corner. You've got a snowflake kind of corner as well. If you're using like the largest circle, or any of the circles really, on a square card, sometimes you want to fill in those corner elements, so that's why Jamie's added these kind of pieces within the die set, because it sort of fills in that little corner. Not only does it fill in the metal of the die, so you've got an extra die in there, but also when you're actually making your card, it's quite nice to have little corners sometimes on there. So this is a gorgeous little snowflake one with little flourishes, but you could just cut that and snip the flourishes off and then just have a snowflake there as well. You do also get an individual snowflake, but those two are actually different sizes. So if you did want another snowflake that was just slightly bigger than that one, you could technically just like snip these flourishy bits off if you just wanted the regular snowflake. And then you also have this gorgeous bit as well, which debosses kind of like a string of pearls, and it's got a slight curvature to it as well. So I think this maybe like cut multiple times and placed around the circle would look fantastic, especially if you wanted 2 designs on your card but you didn't want it to look like 2 separate rings. You wanted it to look more like a continuous pattern going underneath. You could put these little pearl pieces between them and it would kind of make it look more like a continuous pattern as well. So that is the first die set, which is the poinsettia rings. Then the next one is called Elegant Arch, and it's this beautiful archway that could definitely be used as a fireplace as well. It doesn't have to just be an arch. And you've also got a couple of gorgeous oval frames in the centre as well. They actually have this debossing detail around the edge of them, but they have cutting edges on both sides, so you're actually getting little frames in there. And if you wanted a skinny little frame, you could cut both of them together and use the inside edge of one and the outside edge of the other to get a skinny one where that black is of the magnetic sheet as well. So you can use multiple different frames, whether you're using them with that arch or whether you're going to bring in more of an oval element into the poinsettia rings or any of the other elements as well. But that is the Elegant Arch. It's got also beautiful debossed details down the sides of it as well, and some gorgeous swirly designs. I'm sure there are a lot of samples on Jamie's Facebook page of using this. I didn't get a chance to use this one in the end, but I have used quite a few of the die sets. I just didn't get a chance to use this one. But that's the Elegant Arch. This one is the 3D Presents. Again, I didn't properly get a chance to use this one, but I did use some of the bows out of it. But you get 3 different selections of bows, which I think is lovely. And he gives you 2 of each, and I think they're slightly different sizes. They look slightly different. And I think they're all slightly different sizes, so you kind of have the slightly larger and the slightly smaller of each of the 3 designs. So technically you've got 6 different bows there. And then these odd looking ones create 3-dimensional little presents that you can have on your card. So you can have a gorgeous cube kind of present, or if you're making any kind of game or something, you could create your own little dice, because that's going to turn into a 6-sided cube that you could put anything on the 6 sides of that could be a dice, or it could be colours to represent something in a game, or it could even be like little fortunes or little sayings on each of the cubes as well. And then you've also got an oblong present too. You can see here the kind of size that it will be. It will be like slightly longer with a slightly shorter kind of side, and then this length of it as well. So a lovely oblong kind of present. And I've seen someone on the design team, I can't remember who it was now, but they did a fantastic sort of interactive card that flipped round. It was really clever. Who was it that did it? I think it was Emma Kemp, I think it was her. But they will all be on the Creative Expressions official Facebook page, so you can go and check that out and see other people's samples that they've created. But yeah, 2 3-dimensional presents. You get the bows, and you also get this long strip as well, which you can use as like a ribbon to wrap around the present, and then you can do the bows. You can cut them both from the same colour of cardstock and make them match perfectly. You have extra little embellishments in here too. 3 different hearts. They're actually all the same but different sizes. So you've got 3 different sizes of hearts in there. You've got a tiny little gift tag which looks perfect just tucked under the bow on a present. And then you've also got 2 little balloons as well. So you can make this more of like New Year's kind of presents or birthday as well. There is nothing about this one that says it is Christmas. That you know, that could definitely be birthday presents, Valentine's presents, celebration presents as well. There's nothing to say that that has to be Christmas, but if you want to make it really Christmassy, cut these out of your Christmas patterned papers, and then it'll look like Christmas wrapping paper that you've got your boxes cut out of as well. So loads of different ways of using that beautiful die. The next one is an alphabet die. I think it's just called Alphabet and Numbers, and it's one of these large block ones so that you can cut the entire alphabet in one go, because you've got all of the capitals, the lowercase and the numbers, plus you've got a question mark, a full stop, speech marks and an exclamation mark as well. So you can do all sorts of different quotes and sayings with this, and these actually coordinate really nicely with all of his word dies that he's done. So there was I think there was 4 original sets of word dies, and then there is also one within this Christmas launch as well, of extra Christmassy kind of words. But if you want to personalise something, and there's a stocking die set later on as well, which looks great with wording on the top of it to personalise it to someone, or you can put dates and things on them as well. But a really gorgeous cursive kind of alphabet die, and the reason why they've done it in a large block like this is because they're such fine, delicate, intricate kind of letters. It's just so much easier to cut it all out in one go, and it means you're not going to lose any of those little individual dies when you're die cutting things as well. And if you like mixed media and stuff, you could always use the aperture to give a stenciled design onto your project, or rip into it and do like junk journaling and stuff with it too. So I think this is a nice versatile one, but I think this one's called Alphabet and Numbers. The next set is called Santa's Sleigh. And you can guess what's in this set. It's Santa's sleigh, and there's also a couple of gorgeous little reindeer. I didn't get a chance to cut these out, but I think the aperture of these would make fantastic shakers as well, and you could do like silhouetted reindeer shakers. I think that would look really good. I actually only used a couple of the tiny little dies from this set in a couple of my cards, but you've got the beautiful ornate sleigh that's got beautiful swirly details down here, and then you've got the main body of the sleigh which just has debossing and embossing details in it. So when you die cut this, the card will push up through those open gaps, and the metal of the die will dent into the rest of the card in that pattern. So you'll have a really textural kind of design, and if you run that through with your tan mat or your green mat, whatever squishy mat you have, you'll get even more impression from that. But most of Creative Expressions dies are really good at giving you that detail straight away, just with cutting it on your die cutting sandwich. But if you do find maybe your machine doesn't have one of those squidgy mats, and you do find it's not giving you enough dimension or detail from those debossing ones, you can just run a second piece of card through underneath the one that you want to cut, and you'll help sort of squish the card up into this die, or the die down into the card, whichever way you're going with it, and you should get better impressions on all of those details as well. But you've got that beautiful sleigh, you've got 2 fantastic little reindeer which again have that debossing kind of detail. They actually have debossing all over their bodies, and then like the detail between their legs and around their neck pieces and their harnesses and stuff is actually debossed in. It's really cool, that one, the way they've done the debossing on that. And he's got his beautiful little antlers, his tiny little tail. This one's got 1 foot up as well, and this one's more trotting along. So you can definitely go to town, do like a DL card, and have all of Santa's reindeer pulling the sleigh along, and then you can just have the sleigh stacked full of presents as well, because you've got the gorgeous little bag of presents, which has, again, gorgeous debossing detail into there. I really need to cut these ones out to see what they look like, but that looks really lovely the way that's going to deboss into the cardstock. Then you've also got the reins to be able to attach any of the reindeer to the sleigh or to each other, depending how many reindeer you're going to have pulling your sleigh. I think 1 with the sleigh looks lovely, but if you want to really go to town and have, you know, I don't know how many reindeer Santa actually has. It's either 7 or 9, I think. You can have like pairs and then Rudolph at the front. And then you've also got little presents which have debossing bows on them. You've got tiny little baubles there, or bells perhaps, that you could have hanging off of the reindeer. It's probably bells, to be honest, but they could be baubles too. Although, yeah, they could be baubles to go on this little tree, actually. Yeah, they might just be baubles for that. And you've also got this gorgeous little star piece, which I absolutely love. I used that in a wreath. I was creating a wreath and I wanted some extra gold details, so I used this little star piece, and it actually has debossing details in some of those stars as well. Plus you also get a separate individual star, so you could die cut that and put it back on top of that large one as well. So that is the Santa's Sleigh die set. Then the next one is called Christmas Stocking. I didn't get a chance to use this one either, but I love the kind of like argyle or embroidered kind of pattern that's on here. You've got gorgeous little Christmas trees, which those Christmas trees would make the perfect confetti for shaker cards as well. If you're cutting lots of these out, keep all of those trees and use them for a shaker card. But you've also got, again, cut in detail, debossed detail and embossed detail. So Jamie really goes to town with how much he puts in his dies, whether they are going to press into the card, make the card be pushed up through the dies, or just cut out from the card as well. So lots of gorgeous detail within there. Plus you get the outside separate from your detail as well, which is nice. So you can maybe cut the whole thing from whichever colour you want the top portion of your stocking to be, then cut the both together from your other colour, and then you can snip off the top trim and put this piece on top of the other one, and then you have all of the pattern with the original colour showing behind, and the original colour will be this top piece as well. Or you can just cut them both together and have you know, nothing behind the apertures as well. Or you can you know, just completely place this over the top. If you want this piece to be the same colour as the rest of the stocking, you can just take one plain die cut and place it behind it to fill in all of those details. You also have the little hanger for the stocking too, which also just looks like a lovely little raindrop as well, so you can use it for different things as well. Or you could turn that into a flower. You could do lots of them, make it into a flower. You've got two candy canes, both handedness of each other, and these have embossing detail on them, so a lovely shape for a candy cane, and then they've got embossed detail. And then you also have two presents in here as well. So there's lots of little presents hidden within the die sets that you can use in conjunction with each other. If you wanted to fill up Santa's sleigh a bit quicker, you could put a couple of these larger presents into there as well, because they'll go nicely with the smaller ones that you get in the Santa's sleigh set. So that is the Christmas stocking. Then we're coming on to all of my favourite ones. I kept my favourite ones till last. So this one is Christmas borders, and you get 3 fantastic borders in here. I mean, this one's just kind of like a really simple candy stripe kind of design, which could definitely be used as a candy cane. I think I did it red on my card. Yeah, I did do it red. It looks really lovely just in red. But you could definitely do the multiple different colours. It could be like the pole of a carousel horse or something. You could use it for so many different things, but it's just a really gorgeous little border. This one is fantastic. I love the sound of this. When you pull this out of the die cut, it's got so many of those gorgeous like little debossing details in it. It kind of almost gives that pinprick kind of look in it, and it makes a really cool noise when you pull the cardstock off of the die. But really, really gorgeous design. I did a couple of cards with this, I think, and then this one is my favourite. Absolutely love this one. It's a gorgeous holly border, but not only can you use it as a straight border, it's got like gaps in the design and it's really flexible, so you can actually manipulate it around a circle and create a wreath from it, and it looks fantastic. And that's actually my favourite card that I created using that die. So that is the Christmas borders. The next one, also one of my favourites. This one is Holiday Lights Border and Corner. So you've got a straight border, so just with a straight line with all of the light bulbs hanging off of there. You've got a wiggly kind of border, so you've got loop-de-loops in the actual cord of the lights, and then you've got all of the lights up and down, above and below the actual wire. Then you've got an arch of lights, and this works perfectly with the second smallest circle from the original set that I showed you, the Poinsettia rings. So not the smallest one, the next one up. I used it with that and it worked absolutely perfectly. Although, as I was saying with that holly one, there's flexibility in this. So if you wanted to use it for the larger circles, I'm sure you could just prise it around to go work for a larger circle, or you could just use the straight one and curve it around as well. And then you also have this gorgeous one. I love this one. It's just like a tangle of fairy lights. It's supposed to be a corner so that you could use this border and have the corner, so the whole card would have the gorgeous border, the corner, and then coming round for another border and corner. Or like with this one, you could use it with the straight one and have it as like an archway coming around as well. But I just love the chaoticness of this one, and I just used this multiple times to create a background, white on white. But it also has, all of the fairy lights have a debossed line in them to give you that little shine mark, and also it has the debossed line in the sort of holder that the bulb screws into as well. And you can really go to town with how you like turn these into different colours. I personally think I did cut some of them out, and I was trying to stick the light bulb onto the one I'd cut the same colour as that I wanted the wire to be, so a dark green colour. But I didn't like the way that it looked that way, so I think personally the best way to do it would be to cut this from the wire colour that you want, so whatever colour you want the wire and the top bit that you screw the bulbs to be. So normally in the UK it's green, so it hides on a Christmas tree. And then where you have this little line that would emboss on the card, where there's that little hole in the die, I think snip off just under there, snip off all of those bulbs, and then lay your green one onto either yellow cardstock or gold cardstock if you just want the normal like warm white fairy lights, or put it onto white cardstock and then colour the bulbs. So rather than having to cut the bulbs out in like green, red, blue, yellow, just cut it out of white card and then colour with your alcohol pens, or even using like glitter kiss or gilding polish or something on them as well. I think that would look absolutely fantastic, and I think that would be an easier way of doing it. So taking your main die cut in the wire colour that you want, snipping off the bulbs from that one, and then sticking that die cut onto another piece that ends up being the colours of your bulbs, if that makes any sense. I think that would work better. I'm sure I will use this in a sped up video at some point as well, because I really love this die set. So this is the Holiday Lights border and corner die set. This one is absolutely beautiful. It's got such fine, intricate detail in. This is the Swirly Snowflake tree, and you can see how many gorgeous, delicate, intricate snowflakes there are in there. So you could technically cut this out and snip those snowflakes out and just use them. You could use it as a background element, you can use it as a foreground element. These circles here are perfect positions to add your sequins or gemstones or Nouveau drops or PVA pearls, or I actually just painted some of them in with some of Jane Davenport's iridescent watercolours as well, and it looked really, really lovely. And you could also, if you colour in with a watercolour or a polish or a gilded touch or a wax lyrical or something like that, you could then just put some glossy accents over the top to give it that domed, gorgeous finish as well. So really, really pretty, this tree. And you've got the lovely star at the top with the debossing detail in there as well. Really gorgeous though, and I have used this on a couple of cards, so you will see that cut out in a second. Then the next die set is the rippled poinsettias, which I absolutely adore. It almost looks like an optical illusion when you look at them like that, but you get 5 different sizes of the rippled poinsettias, so from quite a large kind of size to a really decent sort of size for small kind of cards, although the large ones still work on small cards as well. And then you get a selection of 3 different holly leaves, which again look absolutely brilliant with this sort of rippled design in them. You also get this little piece, which is the centres of your poinsettias, 3 different sizes with a lot of the debossing detail. This looks fantastic cut out of mirror card, and I actually use these as clusters of berries with my holly leaves as well. And then you get these 2 final little dies in here. These look absolutely gorgeous just poking out from behind your poinsettias or in conjunction with some holly on a card. They look really, really lovely. Again, cut from mirror card, they look fantastic, or you cut them from white card and add colour to them with the green stems and the red berries on them as well. But really, really pretty designs. I really, really like this one. Absolutely brilliant, that one. And then the final one is the Christmas Essential Sentiment. So as I said before, Jamie's had a few different sets of these. I think there was, no, maybe there was 6 to begin with actually, because he had like female relations, male relations, essentials 1, essentials 2, and I think there was a baby and a wedding one, I think. So there's so many of these already out there that I'll try and link below, as well as all of the rest of these as well. But in this set, we've got Happy and Merry, and then Christmas. You can do Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. We've also got We Wish You a Merry Christmas, so you can make a really long sentiment on a card. You've got Dear Santa, we've got New Year, which is nice, so you can just do New Year, or you can do Happy New Year. as well. Season's greetings, blessings, which works nicely by itself, but you can also do Christmas blessings, or even maybe season's blessings too, if you just snipped off the word greetings. They're really easy to snip into, these ones. I often snip them in half, but also what I was saying with those border dies, they have manoeuvrability in them, so you could make these curve round the edge of those poinsettia rings or something if you wanted to. And then the final one is bar humbug for any of those Scrooges that you know, so you've got a bar humbug one too. So those are all of the die sets in Jamie's Christmas Tales collection for 2023. I'll just move these out of the way and then I'll come back and show you the 7 samples that I've done. So here are my samples. This is my absolute favourite one that I created, and it's just so simple, just using that border but to create a wreath. And I actually used the second smallest circle to cut a circle of vellum to help me get my circular shape as well from the poinsettia rings for this one, but any circle die would work. And in any of the cards where you can see a bold printed word, these are the new Season's Greetings wordies. So the previous Christmas wordies, there were 4 sets that came out last year. Then there's 2 sets for this year. One set is scripty kind of words, and then this is the other set, which basically just has large sentiments in. So the normal wordy sets have larger sentiments like this, plus lots of little ones in between them, but this is mostly just the large sentiments and even larger sentiments as well. So I often like just snipping one word as well and using a die cut for the other one. So you can do Merry and then Christmas. I think it works really, really nicely. So you don't have to use Merry Christmas in wordies or Merry Christmas in the word dies. You can mix and match them together, which is nice. But I thought I'd tell you which set of wordies it is. So it's Season's Greetings, and it is CEW021. So we're already on the 21st set of wordies, which is crazy, because it feels like yesterday that the first set came out. But anyway, if you want to get hold of any of these Jamie dies, or the wordies, or any of the other bits and pieces that I've mentioned in the video, there will be a full list of affiliate links in the description box below the video and on my blog post as well. I think in the UK, the best place that I can link to is CRaFTi to be able to get them. And then in the US, it is scrapbook.com that often sell all of the creative expression stuff. So there will be links to both of those places to be able to get hold of them. So this is the first card, which is using the Christmas borders, the rippled poinsettias, and then also the Christmas essential sentiments. And then I had used that circle from the poinsettia rings as well. And those little stars are from the Santa's Sleigh set too. But I just absolutely adore how this turned out. So first of all, I think I will do a sped up video on this because I really, really love it, and I kind of want another one to keep because I've got to send this one to Creative Expressions. But I cut, how many did I cut? I cut 6 borders, 2 of each from 3 different greens, and then I've put the lime green, which is that bright green. I went round the circle first with that, and I needed one, like a third of the little borders to go around the circle. Then I put this darker green on the top, and then I only needed 1 border in the end to go underneath. So basically I flipped the vellum over, put glue where some of the holly leaves were so you wouldn't be able to see it, and then I stuck the other one further inwards so I knew what wasn't going to be able to be seen from the front, because you could see through where these die cuts were stuck, so that you could sort of place it so you could just see holly leaves and berries and stuff poking out, but you only needed one of them to kind of do that, because I think I left a little bit of a gap here because I knew I wanted the poinsettia there. And then this is cut from 2 different colours of red, and I cut the small one twice, one from each different colour, and then the next one up twice, one from each different colour, and that is the medium sized centre. And then I've also done those little stars from the gold mirror card as well. But isn't that just beautiful? I really, really like this one. I really do want to recreate it. And I've just stacked 2 of the Merries together, both cut from black card, and then used that Christmas wordy on there too. Then the next one is using that fantastic swirly snowflake tree, but even though it's called a snowflake tree and it's got the snowflakes in, it works really nicely in a traditional green colour as well. You don't have to just go with icy snowflakey kind of colours. And this is the card that I was saying about how I watercoloured in some of the details on here. So the ones that I used were the Jane Davenport whimsical watercolours, and I used Mushroom Cap and the gold in here as well, which I cannot pronounce what that name is. It's like Reverie, I've never heard of that before, but that's what it says on it. So that's mushroom cap and then the gold one, the red and the gold from there. And I mixed the two of them together over the top of the green card to colour in the pot of the Christmas tree as well. And then I've just mixed and matched the baubles and the star and stuff with the different colours. And then this is using that scribbly kind of piece in the background here as well. And these twirly fall away pieces are from the card that I created using the Poinsettia rings die set. Some of those fell out of that, and I thought, oh, well, I've got them there, I might as well add them onto this white on white background. And then I've also used Happy Christmas from the Christmas Essentials Sentiment die set. Then this is the next one that I created, again with that beautiful Christmas tree, but this time I shadowed the Christmas tree and I did it out of a dark blue and a lighter blue, and I went through my stash and got some domed silver gems and some of these sort of like iridescent deep bluey kind of coloured gems as well. I have a feeling that's a different one. It's giving off green, whereas all the others are just giving off blue. But anyway, some gorgeous gemstones in there. These are those ones that, you know, when you turn them over, they've got black on the inside because then they have an iridescent finish on them that gives that beautiful sparkle. So that's a New Year kind of a card, because you still have your Christmas tree up at New Year, don't you? So I thought it'd work nicely as a New Year card. And then the background is that snowflake border, which you can see cut out in different finishes of cardstock. I've got a high shine mirror card, satin mirror card, and then a few different colours of grey foundations card as well. And that pierced detail that it gives is just so beautiful. And I thought, I'm not going to stick all of them down with tiny dobs of glue. So I put a double-sided adhesive sheet onto my piece of card, stuck them all on, and then put a diamond frost glitter on there as well. So that is a New Year's card. Then I love this one as well. I really like how this one turned out. But this was so easy. It's literally just die cutting two of the borders, the candy cane kind of border, one of the ones which was the leftover one from die cutting all the pieces for that wreath card of the holly border, and then just die cutting the poinsettia. So I took the three largest sizes of poinsettia and cut two of each size, one of each from two different colours of red cardstock. They're just slightly different from each other. Layered them up, put the largest centre in the middle, a couple of the large holly leaves off to the sides cut with the same green card as this, and then the blessings word on there also cut from mirror card to match that, and the embossing folder that I've used on here. Creative Expressions have been bringing out lots of 3D embossing folders recently. They started with 6x6 squares, then they brought out some 8x8 squares, which is where the brick wall came from, and there might also be some other sizes coming eventually as well. So lots of different embossing folders to pick from. They obviously have lots in their stash already, but they've been bringing out new ones recently. But this was the collection of 8x8 ones. You had a padded quilt, which works perfectly for Halloween. I use this inside a coffin for Halloween. There's tidal sand, which is brilliant for beachy kind of scenes. There's heart to heart, which is perfect for Valentine's. And then this is my favourite of them. This is brick wall, and you've got this fantastic brick wall design. It's got so much detail in there, and it just works so perfectly behind the design on this card, and it just makes the card look, you know, so much more amplified. But it's just so easy just running your piece of cardstock through with that embossing folder. I haven't done anything to it. There's no polishes or anything on there. It's literally just the cardstocks, and they just look so perfect. Then the next card is using tons of those holly leaves, the little berries, and some of the bows from the 3D present set as well. And when I was putting all of this together, as I started sticking it down, I was like, hang on, this needs some extra little details. The holly leaves, you know, they look a little bit too boring compared to what I was wanting them to look like. So these bright green, those three little bright green pieces and the three little dark green pieces, they are the leftovers from that wreath card. So, you know, I said I use like 1 1/3 kind of strips of the holly to go all the way around the circle. These are the leftover bits, so I just added them onto this card, and it works really nicely. And again, that's another one of those wordies from that new set as well, set 21. So really simple card, just layering up different bunches of holly with different centres from the poinsettias as the little holly berries on there as well, and then the little sprigs of berries in between too. Then this is the one that I created using the poinsettia rings, and you can see where those waste pieces came from that I used on the background of that Christmas tree card. And you can see here as well the fairy lights are just poking out underneath there, really subtle, but they're still there and it looks really lovely. And I've actually used glitter bits behind the circle on this one as well. I think it's called Midnight Sparkle or something. It's a really gorgeous colour. It's got really deep dark blues in there, really pretty. I think it's one of the holographic ones as well. It looks like it's picking up different colours. And I've just gone with a little bit of silver around the back of that wordy, and I really like the modernness of bringing the two lines coming inwards rather than just fitting your sentiment into this circle that I've left in the centre, bringing them coming across the design. I think it gives it a really modern kind of feel, and I've used those separate snowflakes in the same colour that I've put behind here to kind of match it across the card as well. And I did also do some faux stitching in silver just around the edge to kind of finish that edge off too. So quite a fancy looking card for me, but I feel like this sort of brings in that sort of slightly modern edge to it, so I do really like how that one turned out. And then the final card that I did, this is using one of Sue Wilson's, I've got the packaging here, decorative squared rectangles in her Noble collection. And these are literally just the dies that cut those rectangles out. They don't have a cutting edge, but they will coordinate with her rectangle dies. If you have any of the stitched or pierced ones, the double stitched or pierced ones, they should coordinate with the different sizes. But I just cut it straight into the card, then used two of those trees from the Santa's sleigh set, I think it was, and then also the same two smallest dies from the rippled poinsettias, more of those berries, and the centrepiece as well. And then I've used the season's greetings sentiment on here too. And for the trees, because I wanted the metallic berries, the centre, the poinsettia and the sentiment, instead of the trees just being cut from green, I cut them from gold and from green, and then I took the green die cut and snipped off the star and the trunk of the tree and then layered them up together. You could also go in with some Nouveau drops or gems and put them on some of those main baubles on this tree, or as we saw in the die set, those little dies that look like baubles, they would work as tiny little baubles on this tree as well. You cut them from red and they would sort of tie in together too. So, I hope you enjoyed this up-close video looking at Jamie Rodgers' new festive collection for 2023, which is called Christmas Tales, and it's just got a gorgeous selection of goodies in here, and I just absolutely adore that you can turn that border into a wreath, and you could make this any sort of shape as well. It doesn't have to be a circular wreath, it can be an oval shaped wreath as well. You could use some of those ovals from the inside of that elegant archway to create a template for you to put your wreath around as well, and you could try making a snowflake wreath too with the snowflake strips. I think that would work really nicely. And you could also try creating a wreath with the fairy lights too, because we know that those half circle ones, I think I put 3 of them around the edge of this circle, but they work so perfectly. But you could also use the clustery messy kind of ones that's in the border strip as well and put them around a wreath too. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget there will be links to everything below the video and my blog post as well, with little picture links if you want to get hold of anything. And yeah, just hope it gave you a little bit of inspiration, or maybe gave you a look into a new brand that you might not have seen before as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.